When U.S. companies are pulling out of China, and it's not really a pullout, it's like a gradually move out in many cases, right? Like with Apple, right? Like just a little bit of their production move out. But like what kind of pressure are these companies facing from, say, the Chinese Communist Party or related pressures?
Yeah, I'm sure it depends on how big the companies are. Apple seems to be doing okay, but Steve has been famous for maintaining a good relationship with China while he did whatever he had to do, and so many companies can't be as nimble as Apple is. At China, it's difficult to get the money out. Like if you've been earning billions of dollars over there and you want to pull that money out, they make it extremely difficult to do so. If you're over the smaller companies that are over there, often don't have their own factories. They have very very competent subcontracting companies in China that do the molding, the assembly, do whatever for them, and then ship product to the U.S. And when you try and pull that work out, they keep your tooling, they keep your technology, they start competing with you, making your product and selling it against you around the world. And in some cases, when it's been rumored that the factory would close, the workers kidnap the managers, the U.S. managers, and lock them in their office until they get paid their severance pay or whatever. So between the society and the government, they can be pretty aggressive. So it's not easy. And there's specialists who all they do is advise companies on how to work their way through that labyrinth so as to be able to get out as successfully as they can. So it's not an easy. The whole project's tough, but that doesn't mean don't do it. It means get started and do it smart.
I mean, it almost feels like, when you have to, leave a bad situation or something like that, you just do it as quietly as possible, right? I mean, it's not like the companies are necessarily releasing press releases saying, "Hey, we're leaving China," right?
Yeah, they're not doing that at all. I know we're going to run out of time pretty soon. You ever heard of Ray Dalio?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
So he's the founder of the Bridgewater Associates. He's very very successful guy. I did a presentation for Notre Dame to their business school, and I described Ray as very successful, very smart. His net worth is more than Notre Dame's endowment.
So wow, and he's been very very pro working with the Chinese Communist Party over the years.
But let me tell you what I was going to tell you. He's done this study called the Changing World Order. And he's looked at history and seen that there's been a series of empires, we'll call them. You had the Dutch, and then you had the British who took over from the Dutch, and the U.S. took over from the British around the world wars. And now you've got the U.S. in decline, manufacturing, trade, innovation, internal turmoil, all kinds of reasons in decline. And you've got China coming up like this, like a shark coming up out of the water. He has a list of 19 what he calls determinants that determine whether a country or empire is rising, it's sort of peaking out, or it's declining. And if you look at most of those, the U.S. is in some state of decline, and China's doing this. And so I've taken his data, I've analyzed it, and my conclusion is that by enabling reshoring, by getting more productive, by improving our trade balance, which having more manufacturing jobs that will improve income equality, you'll have less turmoil in the country because the economy will be better. People will feel they're getting along better. That the U.S. can maintain its position and stability up here and not be in this feeling of malaise and decline, and that by stabilizing up here, that it'll give China time to decline, because China is faced with debt. It's got severe problems with debt. It's got demographic problems. Their population has peaked. They're declining. They're projecting a 30 million shortage of manufacturing workers, I think, by either 2025 or 2030. They have drought issues. They got a series of significant issues. that they've done an amazing job of improving their economy. So they've done great, but they're starting to run into significant problems. And if we can stabilize up here, that'll give them time to flatten out up here, hopefully a little below us. And by the U.S. feeling once again that we're solid, that we're not in decline, that I believe that the U.S. and China can work out their issues. Whereas if the U.S. feels that it's a weakening power and that it sees China continuing to go up like this, that you have a risk of what's called the Thucydides trap, which is the declining, the dominant power but in decline eventually has a war with this upcoming aggressive, younger sort of power. And I don't want a war. And so I believe that by making the U.S. by an aggressive job of reshoring, plus some other things, I'm sure, that the U.S. will be able to maintain its stable position up here, and we can work things out with China. So I think we're less likely to have war if we strengthen our economy, especially by manufacturing.
So it seems like having the U.S. government be supporting reshoring would be an important part of the effort to bring it back, since they'd have to, for example, subsidize like industries like the chips industry and things like that. How much support are you seeing from the U.S. government? Are there other things that you want them to do?
Well, we don't think they should subsidize. I mean, in these two instances, I said, okay, yeah, but they're subsidizing way too much. I mean, the subsidies for the cars, the EV cars, turn out to be $10,000 per car, including the new car subsidy and the resale subsidy comes out to $10,000, which is about a third of the cost of manufacturing a car. And you shouldn't have to subsidize somebody that much to get them to do something here locally where it makes sense to do it anyway. So I think that they're overdoing the subsidies, especially in that case. But in general, they should be getting away from subsidies, because most people agree that when everything the government has tried to subsidize, like Solyndra, you remember in the past, the industries, the companies they've tried to subsidize almost always go bankrupt because they're not good at picking winners. And therefore, we say that instead of picking industries, which is what they're doing now, that they should pick industry. They should make manufacturing more competitive, more price competitive. And if they do that, if you can get this 30% price difference down to a 10 or 15% price difference, for example, via a lower US dollar, then the marketplace will make the decision. The marketplace will decide what industries, what companies, what products will be made here, and it will be a substantially greater number than what we produce today.
Sure.
I mean, I would imagine arguing for a weaker U.S. dollar is not super popular with the U.S. government.
I mean, I'm not even sure that can happen because, I mean, firstly, most people want a stronger dollar, but also, like, if the dollar weakens and then that boosts U.S. manufacturing, there's more demand for U.S. goods, that strengthens the dollar again, right?
No, it doesn't have to strengthen the U.S. dollar again. No, when you lower the dollar, it'll be more competitive to make things here. Things will be made here, and the prices will go up a little bit. 1% once, 2% once, something like that, but not dramatically. And so people have been told that they want a strong dollar, but they don't have any reason to want it. I mean, if you travel abroad, you want the dollar to be strong. If you want to buy imports, you want the dollar to be strong. But we don't want people to buy so many imports. We want them to buy things here, so we'll have a stronger economy to support the defense industry, to support the budget, et cetera, et cetera.